and welcome to the third video in a sequence of 6 videos that are designed to teach you how to calculate a percentage of an amount. In the first video we established what a percentage was. In the second video we learned how to calculate 50% of an amount. In this video we are looking at how to calculate 10% of an amount. 10%, which we'll draw here, means 10 per 100, so 10 out of 100. If we did that as a fraction, we would have 10 out of 100. If we simplified that fraction by dividing by 10, we would get 1/10. So 10%, calculating 10%, is the same as finding the 10th of a number. To find a 10th of a number, you quite simply divide by 10. So, let's see if we can find 10% of 30. Well, the 10% means the same as a 10th. All we do is divide 30 by 10. Now, if you've seen my multiplying and dividing by 10, 100 and 1000s video, you'll know that when dividing by 10, 100 or 1000, or multiplying by 10, 100 or 1000, you should not use bus stop. It is not going to help you out here. Instead, you should write your place value columns. So we need our 1s, our 10s, and our 100s. Put our decimals in. Let's put our 10th there. I don't think we'll need it for this one, but just in case. Let's write our digit into our number into the correct place value columns. Let's look at the symbol. It's divide, which tells us our number is getting smaller, so we are heading towards our 10ths and 100ths rather than heading towards our 100s, 10s and 1s. I'm going to draw an arrow to remind me. Let's count the zeros. There is 1 0, which tells me it's moving 1 decimal place. So now let's move it 1 decimal place. 0 goes to our 10ths column, and our 3 10s goes into the 1s column. Let's keep the decimal lined up. We have no numbers in the 10ths column, or no value in the 10ths column, or numbers past that, so we can ignore all the numbers after the decimal. So quite simply, 30 divided by 10 is 3. This tells us 10% of 30 is 3. Here is the next calculation we're going to look at, 10% of 75. How do we find 10% of a number? We divide by 10. 75 divided by 10. Let's write out our place value headings. We've got our 100s, our 10s, our 1s, our 10ths, and our 100s. Let's make sure we put our decimal point between our 1s and our 10ths. The number is 75. Let's copy that number into the correct columns. 7 10s and 5 1s. Circle the symbol. It is divide. That number is getting smaller, heading towards our 10ths and 100ths rather than towards our 10s and 100s. 1 0. So we're going to move each of our digits 1 decimal place. So here's the 5. 5 1s becomes 5 10ths, and 7 10s becomes 7 1s. Keep that decimal lined up. This tells us 75 divided by 10 is 7.5, which therefore tells us 10% of 75 is 7.5. For our penultimate example, we're going to look at how we find 10% of 36.1. Calculating 10%, we are dividing by 10. So our calculation is 36.1 divided by 10. We are not using bus stop. Instead, we are writing out our place value headings. So we've got our 100s, our 10s, our 1s, our 10ths, and our 100s. And our decimal. First, let's copy in our number 36.1. So we've got 3 10s, 6 1s, and 1/10. Let's keep that decimal lined up. Circle our sign, it's divide, it's getting smaller, we are moving in this direction. 1 0, which tells us we are moving 1 decimal place, and then we move each of those digits. So 1/10 becomes 1/100th, 6 ones become 6/10ths, and 3 10s become 3 1s. Keep that decimal lined up. So therefore 36.1 divided by 10 is 3.61. So 10% of 36.1 is 3.61. Here we go, here is our final example, 10% multiplied by 3.01. If you've watched the last video, you'll have seen we had a times in one of our questions before. It means exactly the same as of. They can be substituted in for one another, therefore we're finding 10% of 3.01, exactly like we have done for the rest of our examples. To calculate 10% of a number, you divide by 10. 3.01 divided by 10. Now we have a tenth and a hundredth in this example, so we might need a thousandths column, which we haven't used before. So let's write out our place value headings. We've got our hundreds, our tens, our ones, our tenths, our hundredths, and then new to this example, in this video, our thousandths. Let's put our lines in, and our decimal. First step, copy the digits of each number into the correct place value heading. So 3 is in the ones column, because we have 3 ones. Our decimal, keep it lined up, 0 tenths, and 100th. We need that 0 in there. If we don't include that 0, we don't know that this is a 100th as opposed to a tenth. Next step, circle the sign. It is a division symbol. It shows us we are going towards our tenths, hundredths, and thousandths, rather than towards our hundreds and thousands and so on. So we're going in this direction. 1 0, which tells you each digit is moving 1 decimal place. So move our 1, move our 0, move our 3, keep our decimal lined up. We have 0.301. However, we always need to have something in our ones column, therefore we're going to put our 0 in there as a placeholder to show that the number is 0.301 rather than anything else. So 3.01 divided by 10 is 0.301. So 10% of 3.01 is 0.301. Thank you for watching this video on how to find 10% of a number. So far, we've looked at what a percentage means in the first video. In the second video, we looked at what 50% is and how to calculate 50%. And in this video, we've looked at how to calculate 10% of a number, understanding that 10% is the same as saying 1/10, and therefore we quite simply divide by 10. In the next video, we are going to be looking at how to calculate 5% of a number.